Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for what we're calling the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And we need to know what is going on in the world's most populous nation, which is China, with over 1.3 billion people, and how they're actually creating a new consumerism and also creating a new green economy within China itself. And so we have a gentleman who's sitting right beside me who actually, I believe, had one of the very first NGOs, non-governmental organizations in China, specifically focused on the environment. It's Dr. Peng He, who is the president of the International Fund for China's Environment. And Dr. He, welcome back to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure coming back again.
I think this is maybe the 6th or 7th time that we've been together on Emerald Planet, and so it's always a great pleasure to hear the latest news from China and what you're doing. But tell us a little bit about what's the IFCE?
Well, International Fund for China's Environment is a non-profit organization established in Washington, D.C. It's a U.S. NGO. In 1996, our mission is to protect the world's environment and biodiversity through provide technical assistance to China, where there's most serious environmental challenges happening now, and we help through the policy development to help government develop sustainable development policies to improve the technologies, enhance technologies, also empower the public and the civic organizations.
Well, I tell you, that is a broad mandate that you have, but being a pioneer as far as China is concerned, and we have your logo up, which is really shows the whole nation of China. This is quite an impressive logo because you have China as it should be on this topic as the center of the universe. But what is the current status on green consumption? This is really the theme of this topic is green consumerism in China, and many people around the globe would be probably surprised to hear there's actually a movement going on in China now on green consumerism.
Yeah, the green consumerism idea is starting from 90s of last
So this has been going on quite a while.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
Mainly on the 90s when the whole world is calling for sustainable development and trying to seek a way of balanced economical growth and the environment. And the green consumption is part of green development. Mm-hmm. So in the 90s, the government mostly trying to promote the energy efficiency, energy saving products, because energy is always one of the key components to China for sustainable economy growth.
Well, I know this is one of the things, Dr. He, that China is really focused on because the nation looks at this as a strategic issue as far as national policy, but also national protection. And so it sounds like what they're doing is they, over the last 20 plus years, engaging the public to realize that this is a critical issue and the public needs to be involved. Is that correct?
Right. The government is promoting the green consumption for quite a while, like say 20 years. And the number of activities and policies being developed. In 2008, the government pretty much banned free plastic bags use, like in some area in the U.S. So that's save a lot of plastic products.
Mm-hmm. And also cut down on the amount of crude oil that's being used to produce the plastic bags.
Right. In recent years, especially in last decade, the public getting more and more interested in the green consumption is some of food safety accident that happened. So people pay attention to what they eat and drink. So they want to be more green and more healthy. So that's also promote in the public awareness and public participation.
Yeah, looking at these two, I'm going to go back to the one we had before. Just tell us, what do these emblems really mean, and the importance as far as green consumerism and this whole movement towards a green economy within China?
These two basically are two green labels. The left one is for green agriculture product. On the right one is from China Energy Saving Association, and it's energy saving products. So the government, through promoting those green labels, design those green labels to promote the green products.
And then these two sets?
These two are, one is left side of the environmental product certification, on the right side is energy saving certification.
Yeah.
So by different department, the environmental ministry, also the Bureau of Energy administration.
So what this shows in, I believe, Dr. He, is that China is very serious about a green economy and moving towards a greener society and better environment, because it's in the national interest. One is to cut down any health risks from CO2 and pollution, but also it just saves a whole lot of money of not having to import crude oil or natural gas from abroad to bring into China.
China is still import a lot of oil and gas from outside, but the problem is this path cannot be sustainable. So they need to reduce the import of oil and gas. And as the economy keep growing, and also environmental pollution is getting more and more serious, especially the last few years, and the smog in northern China is getting very, very serious. So for doing green development, there's multiple benefits. The first one is for improve the environmental quality. Second one is to, as you mentioned, reduce dependence on the oil and gas for foreign oil and gas. The third one is reduce whole global climate changes, mitigate the climate changes.
Well, also too, Dr. He, I know that the Chinese government and the people are moving towards more consumerism within the society instead of being an export-driven economy. More and more they want to raise the quality of life, the standard of living for all Chinese, regardless of socioeconomic background. And just like these cars represent, China is now embarking on developing its own technologies to use to protect the environment, but also to reduce any kind of pollution into the air and the water and the soil.
Yeah, transportation is one big sector in China. China's the car and the vehicles are booming in cities, also in the rural area. So in order to reduce the impact of those fuel burning, and China is invests a lot on the hybrid cars and the electronic cars. So these two are e-cars developed in China.
Yeah, and also too, I know that there's been a real emphasis, just like these LED lights and the unique designs of these, or the compact fluorescents, to make sure that you're using much less energy, but actually increasing the amount of light and using natural spectrums as far as color is concerned.
Oh yeah, those China is decided to phase out those traditional light bulb by 2016, completely banned. Or use those energy-saving bulbs. So that's some of the examples, different patterns and different textures of light bulb.
Yeah. Well, I know this is something that people globally really realize about China. That's march towards solar and even wind energy, but more and more solar as far as the renewable energy is concerned for buildings.
Yeah, green building is a big part of the green consumptions because building is consuming 20% of energy in China. So for the green building, there's a number of components. Energy efficiency is the first one. So the green building, you need to use solar energy or some other geothermal energies. And also building material itself, there's no chemicals, no harmful materials for green buildings. China is trying to develop its own green building certificates. Some
In other words, like the LEED that's been developed in the United States
Right.
and being used in Europe.
Actually, we introduced the LEED to China in more than 15 years ago.
I see.
And in early of 2001 time frame. And there is many buildings being certified by LEED right now in China. But the Chinese government, one way they promote LEED in China, but also develop its own green building criteria right now.
Yeah. Well, it's a unique climate. It's a unique environment because you're going through so many different time zones because of the size of China. And then you're going from very tropical, literally, into the Gobi Desert.
Right.
And so the demands for the building materials in each of these different regional areas is quite different.
Right. According to the World Bank estimates, in next 3 years, the half of the world new building will be built in China. So you can see now the building materials, green building materials, and the energy efficiency products have a huge market down there. This picture shows the water heating, solar water heating in Kunming. That's one of the city have a lot of sunshines, and most of the residents are using solar heating to heating water, and they also their house.
Well, the whole thing about this using the solar hot water, it not only saves the environment, it also reduces the cost of maintaining your household. So there's a great incentive as far as having the hot water, and this just gives you a close-up. And I understand, Dr. He, this is actually being manufactured in China, correct? This technology.
Right. Those manufactured in China. Also, right now, China is exporting a lot of those solar panels, solar heating devices to the other area of the world.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get this because I know that there's a real emphasis now on organic farming and green farming, and you and I have discussed we're going to do a program on about the organics in China because that's very, very important.
Yeah, organic food is getting popular right now because, as I mentioned, people get more and more concerned about food quality, drinking qualities. So those kind of organic farming farms are getting more and more attractive in the urban area.
Well, as your request, I want to show that you're on all the social media. So
that's developed
your
by
IFC is everywhere in the globe.
Developed by new staff, LinkedIn, Tweet, Facebook, and Chinese Weibo as well.
It's fantastic. Anyway, Dr. Ping He, thank you very much for being with us. He's the president of the International Fund for China's Environment. And thank you for being with us as we talk about the world's most populous nation, as it's actually setting the pace in many ways as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.
One day these rats were playing in the woods.
Well, it's some matches and that's no good.
Listen to smoke before you give it a try.
Only you.
Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water.
At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site.
That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff.
You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People, the flood is imminent!
Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school, These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we look around the globe. That's actually adding 2 billion new people by 2050. So we're going from roughly 7+ billion to a little over 9 billion people. And so how are we going to be able to take care of all this new humanity as joining us on the planet when many people say that the natural resources and the infrastructure is already stretched at the current level of population? There are a number of people that Emerald Planet interacts with that are really looking at these issues and how to best address what is going on with in the planet itself and how we can actually bring about a better quality of life, a better standard of living for these people, and at the same time to reduce the consumption of natural resources or the processing of natural resources. And we have someone that's joining us from Washington, D.C. This is Diane McEachern, who is the CEO of what's called Big Green Purse. And right beside me is Dr. Ping He, who is the president of the International Fund for China's Environment, in case we lose Diane by Skype, and she's remote from us. And so we have actually two sitting with us. And Diane, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you're joining us. And I just love the name, Big Green Purse. What is Big Green Purse?
Big Green Purse is really an idea. It's the idea that whether we have a purse or a pocketbook, so you guys are not off the hook, but no matter how we spend our money, we can shift our spending in a way that helps protect the planet.
Okay, well, I think that's really very important, and as you know, this focus of this program and the others surrounding it is all about China, so we're going to be asking you about China, and I know that you've been very involved with the International Fund for China's Environment and Dr. He and what he's doing and his fantastic organization. So why this focus now on the importance of consumption, and especially as it relates to the environment?
Every time we make something for purchase, every time we make something to sell, it has an environmental impact. It takes energy, water, all kinds of natural resources, often a big slew of toxic chemicals. So getting consumption under control is really critical if we want to really protect the air we breathe, the water we drink, forests and trees, oceans, wildlife, and so on.
Well, I think it's fantastic you include the oceans and the forests. Many times, even though that's really the linchpin for all of humankind and all beings on the planet, we tend to forget about those. And I have a good friend, Sylvia Earle of National Geographic. She kind of goes the 180 degrees from Emerald Planet. She says the Earth is blue. And you know what that's all about, Diane,
right,
as far as the oceans and water is concerned. How do consumer choices make a difference as far as the impact on the environment? And as consumers, how do we become more green in our perspective about what we're consuming and how we consume it?
Well, in terms of how we really make a difference, you know, what we buy is our first line of defense against all these products out there that may often contain toxic chemicals, or they may be much more energy intensive than we think is good for the planet. So really, first and foremost, the way we change our spending really is our first line of defense against what's out there. And it's a way for us to make a statement about what we believe is good for the planet. But also, when we buy something, it sends a direct message to the manufacturer. It's a vote of confidence, right? And so the more that we shift our spending to greener products and services, the more we're sending a signal to companies to either keep doing what they're doing, do more of it, do better, or, you know, we're not going to reward them with our consumer dollars.
Well, I think that's really very important as far as the dollar or the yuan or the British pound or the euro, whatever it is.
Right.
really is how we can have a true impact as far as what is either consumed, processed, recycled, or actually the best product, the one that's actually not even made. So going back to this topic as far as consumerism and how they really impact what's going on the planet, how can people be more conscious of what they're buying, and what should they really think of before they make that consumer's choice?
Well, the first question is whether or not you really need to buy something in the first place. And there's so much conversation now about figuring out ways to share. The sharing economy has really become very popular. Another word for it is collaborative consumption. So the first question is, how can we avoid buying things new when there's so much that's available to us in our communities already? The second thing is to really identify some screens that are important to you. Energy is obviously a big issue. We all have to figure out ways to cut back on energy. So buying things that have that require less energy to produce, or that use less energy once we buy them, that's a pretty important consideration. For me, one of the things that I always look at is what kind of ingredients are in a project, especially if it's a cleaning project or a personal care product, everything from shampoo and soap to makeup. And I look at the ingredients. In my book, Big Green Purse, I actually provide lists of ingredients to look for to help you become a smarter, safer shopper.
So I have the cover of your book up, and we'll be shameless promoters of what you're doing. But the subtitle of this whole thing is, your power to create a cleaner and greener world. Well, why looking at the ingredients is so important to that theme of your book?
There are so many ingredients in consumer products that were not really tested for toxicity when they were, when the products were formulated. We know so much more now about health and safety than we did when a lot of these things were invented. And we use so many products every day. Think about it: soap and shampoo and toothpaste and deodorant and all these things that in little amounts we're putting on our bodies, but over the course of a day and over the course of time, they really add up. So that's one of the reasons why looking at toxic chemicals in products that we use on our bodies is so important.
Well, as you know, Dr. He is sitting right beside me in case we lose you by Skype. And since it seems like we're doing very well, he's going to actually ask the next question. Dr. He?
Dan, what is kind of green business imagine in China? As you see, because we incorporated the green consume forum in the spring.
There's a lot of energy development, as you talked about in the first segment. Certainly wind, solar, biomass, some hydro. It's really developing very quickly. Organic food is also developing as a business. But another arena that's really taking off is, of course, you've got bicycles up there, and that's always a great alternative transportation, low energy transportation source. But in the green building field, there's a tremendous amount happening both on the exterior of a building and on the interior, the use of paints, the use of energy efficient appliances, and so on. We actually, working with the staff at the International Fund for China's Environment, we just did a survey of the different kinds of green businesses that are developing in China. And, there are some things that are a little bit easier to make happen there than others, but recycling paper has become a very big business in China. And of course, that makes perfect sense because there's so much paper being used, and paper is one of those things that can be recycled almost endlessly, so it's great that it's taking off.
Well, and just to follow on to that, Diane, what is the role that entrepreneurs themselves can make as far as creating these green businesses both in China and the United States?
It depends on the nature of the business, but there are so many businesses that get started in somebody's garage or on somebody's kitchen table, or think about Apple Computer got started in a garage, right? And that still happens. It happens in the United States, it happens in China, it happens anywhere where people really want a solution for a problem that they have and they don't see it, and so they decide they're going to innovate it for themselves. That's certainly how a lot of clothing gets developed and designed, all kinds of products. So it takes that entrepreneurial spirit. We know that entrepreneurs are really driving business development all over the world.
Well, looking at the interior of this building, most, if not all, these products that we just had up in the slide, if we can bring that back, are actually made out of almost 100% recycled products, whether it's coming from used or old clothing or PET bottles, plastic bottles, and recycled glass. I mean, there's so many things that you can see in this that actually it's very important. So I think what you're saying, Diane, is it's only the imagination that's really lacking as far as how we can look at the environment and be able to change what it is we're doing and the products that we actually use.
That's right. You know, as in any business, and I think this is as true in China as it is in the United States, at some point you need working capital in order to expand, and obviously you need to develop a market so that when you make these products, somebody will buy them, so that then you have capital to reinvest in the company. But we actually also, as we did the survey of growing green consumer businesses in China, we also looked at the legal structures that were in place to allow entrepreneurs to innovate and develop. And there are a lot of parallels between China and the United States in terms of corporate structures, the ability to be a sole proprietor if you want to, the ability to have joint ventures and so on. So we're only going to see it increase in both countries as we continue to realize that we've got to solve these problems, and they are solvable.
Well, looking at, we only have about a minute left, so I'm going to ask you the first. What do you see, if you can kind of 1, 2, 3, biggest obstacles to creating green businesses?
Well, probably access to working capital is the first one. And it's very overwhelming to start a business. I've started 4 or 5 of them, and it's hard to do it and to keep going. So building a market so that you constantly have consumer demand. And then understanding that you have to keep innovating. In order to succeed and grow, you keep going, and that's a pretty hard thing to do sometimes.
Well, we're just about out of time, but what do you see for the expansion of green businesses, say, over the next 5, 10, 15 years as we go towards 2050?
Yes, a lot of transportation, a lot in the alternative energy sector, because climate change is the #1 problem globally, and we all have to figure out how we're going to use fewer fossil fuels. And a lot in the green building arena, I think, because as more people are moving into cities, we need more places to put them, and green building is going to be a real priority.
Okay, you're coming in by Skype. We're going to lose you right now, Diane, but thank you for being with us. This is Diane McCutcheon, who is the CEO of what's called Big Green Purse, coming in by Skype, and thank you for being with us. And Dr. Ping He, who is with the IFCE, its president, a nonprofit organization. And thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
Saving for retirement might be easy for some folk, but for others, it might take a little more work. And for those who haven't started, there are still things you can do to catch up.
Oh, that is good news.
Like getting out from underneath past debt. And don't get wrapped up with high-interest credit cards.
Get you some eyes.
Be diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
Everyone with alcohol and drug addiction is in the same boat. With treatment, you can find solid ground. For drug and alcohol information and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Dude, are you sure you want this tattoo? Because just do it.
Some mistakes in life are permanent. Like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit ASHA.org.
You've probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide? Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from the United States, Washington, D.C. to be exact, looking around the globe for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. Because by 2050, it's estimated that we'll have about 9 billion souls on the planet. And by the end of this century, there may be as many as 12 to 13 billion people on the planet. And so we're looking around the globe to try to find out what is a precedent for how to increase the quality of life, to provide not only just a sustenance, but also a high-level quality of life so people are self-actualizing no matter what country they come out of or what continent they're coming from. It's just really important that we look into the future to protect the environment, to protect the health of all of us, but at the same time to make sure that we actually are bringing about an enhanced quality of life. And we have someone joining us who's actually been very active at this in the country of China, with the most populous nation, over 1.3 billion people. And this is Yongqing Wang, Ms. Wang, as I'm going to call her. She is the chairwoman of what's called China's Green Earth Volunteers. And Ms. Wang, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Hi. Hello.
Glad to have you.
Hello.
China now it's morning, so I say good morning.
Yes,
Morning.
thank you very much, and we're glad to have you all the way from Beijing, China. So thank you for getting up early and joining us. Tell us a little bit about the background of China's Green Earth Volunteers.
Actually, I'm also working in the media. I work in the national radio more than 30 years. So beginning, I find in China we have the very beautiful mountains, rivers, but this of 10 years, it's really something. It's not good for our nature. So I think in China we have the law, but sometimes the law don't. But the media, so we can do a lot of things. So from in 1996. We organize NGOs called Green Earth Volunteers. Most of the volunteers come from China media. So it's the beginning, we are very care about education. We try to ask the journalists understand about nature and can find some issues themselves. So, but from last 10 years, we are very care about river issues. So every year now we have the 10 years river watch. Means every year we organize journalists, we together go to the China 6 big rivers in the southwest. It's Yangtze River, river in the Jingsha and Mekong, China called Lancang River. So we are really worried about it, the river, not only the pollution and also so many hydropower. So Green Earth Volunteers, until now, is already 17 years old. More than 10,000, 100,000 people, maybe volunteers, join our activities.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic, Ms. Wang. And as the gentleman sitting beside me, Dr. Peng He, who is the president of the International Fund for China's Environment, who is a good friend of yours, you're a pioneer in China as well. So we certainly applaud your hard work in China. Tell us some of the activities that NGOs are doing within China, other NGOs besides yours, that's dealing with greening the environment, green consumption in your beautiful country? I think we may have lost.
Yeah. Now it's the China is a huge country. We have we even every province we have the NGOs. It's like Dr. He Ping, his family is Hunan province. Yeah, now Hunan province they have it's a dangerous species, the Yangtze dolphin. Yeah, so the NGOs they tell the local people we need to hear about rare biodiversity. In the also, it's like Mongolia. We have a very beautiful desert, but now it's some chemical factory in there, so they are polluted. That's the water. So the local NGOs, even some of Beijing NGOs, help the farmer. It's how can clean the water, how can criticize the factory and the company boss, not only for the money, also needed to care about nature in the next generation. So like these NGOs in China, we have every province. In the special now, also young people join our not only activities and also manage NGOs to do something themselves. I have the friends, he working in the CCTV. He's a journalist, CCTV is a national television. He can do, it's easy for the normal life. But now himself is care about the river issues. It's very hard work, but the young people, more and more young people join us. But we still bigger challenge. So this is needed. We hand in hand, not only China, also international. So I really want to international media care about the China NGOs. We can do a lot of things if we want.
Well, looking at the slides that we're going to be using while we're having our discussion, Ms. Wang, there's a number of challenges, but also China is a very beautiful country. So I believe this is some of the volunteers. Tell us what they are doing as they overlook this river area.
Yeah, this is the Yangtze River. It's a hydropower want to set up the big dams there. This the man is a geographer scientist. We are just now I say 10 years river watch. It's I already interviewed this area. It's 8 years. So this scientist give journalists education. What is erosion? What is nature? What is the biodiversity? So after journalists interview there, first themselves can understand we needed friendly with the nature, otherwise we have no future. The second is after they are made a radio program in the TV show and the newspaper articles, can ask more people understand the river not only for the human, also for the nature, for the fish, for the tree, for the flower.
Well, it sounds like you have the proper balance there that all living beings on the planet, whether it's humans, animals, plants, insects, they all share in this nature, and it's something that's very important. And with the sheer size of China and the population, it's very important that the world understands more about China and its environment, but also that the journalists, as you're saying, maybe now 100,000 have volunteered to be involved in your organization, this Green Earth Volunteers. Dr. He, as you know, is here in case we lose you by Skype, and we haven't thus far, so Dr. He, why don't you ask the next question?
Hello, Yunchen. I'm glad to hear you in Skype, and glad you can join us for the program. And could you tell us a little bit about the main challenges for further expansion and also development of the green consumption movement in China?
Yeah. know, 和平 now is from 2007. Every Saturday we have the river watch in hometown. Every year went to the Qinghe. In the Beijing. It's a very famous river. You know, around these rivers, a lot of the people living there. Before the river is really terrible because there are no factory can the waste is plants, so the dirty water is can go to the rivers. So we together now they say we need to clean the river. So 2 days ago when we are walk around the rivers, the river's color is really changed. Before it's very dirty. Now it's a little better clean, I can say. But the smell is still not good. I think the Beijing people now maybe it's rich in the big house and the big car. But I wrote it's a Chinese Twitter Weibo. I say we are really needed more money in real life. But how can we also care about the river? So the China we have the several NGOs we care Beijing River. I think what is love the country. It's the first. It's love your hometown's river. So now it's more people join us. Now it's a river watch not only in Beijing and also in China, 13 big cities. Every Saturday we go to the river, understand the river, and the friendship of the river.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and we only have about 1 minute left, Ms. Wang, and we certainly appreciate you being with us. What do you see of the expansion over the next 5, 10, or 15 years of China's Green Earth volunteers?
Yeah, big challenge for us is we needed high education people and the loved nature people join us. So these pictures is we are eco tour. Means we are really needed the more young people join us. Maybe the NGOs we are no money, it's no high levels. We just love the nature. So but until now we still waiting the young people, the high education people, love the nature people join us. We not only need the money, we needed to love the nature people.
Well, we're going to be losing you, Ms. Wang. Thank you for coming to us from Beijing and China and being with us. And Dr. He, thank you for joining us to be here as a Skype backup as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.
Necesito trabajo. I would like to speak English better. Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
Por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
el Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
Capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals.
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
Are a small part of what we do.
son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
Para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia,
comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey, Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. and the United States, looking around the globe for those 1,000 best practices in over 144 different nations. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President, Executive Director of Emerald Planet and the Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a weekly basis looking around the globe, and now we've had over 80 countries that have been involved in this, and this focus of this particular segment is going to be a panel looking at China and green consumerism, and also how to enlist volunteers to bring them into what it is that we're doing. So the panel discussion is going to be with Dr. Ping He, who's actually in the studio with me. He's the president of the International Fund for China's Environment. Then we have Diane McEachern, who is the CEO of what's called the Big Green Purse from the Washington, D.C. in the United States area. And then we have Yongqing Wang, who is the chairwoman of what's called China's Green Earth Volunteers. She's coming by Skype from Beijing. So welcome to all three of you to the Emerald Planet. And Ms. Wang, welcome to you all the way from Beijing, China.
Thank you. Welcome.
Glad to have you here. We're going
Come to China.
Actually, Dr. He and I were just talking about that a few minutes ago. But we're going to start with Dr. He, and tell us about this movement towards green consumerism in China. This is kind of a new concept, not for the Chinese, of course, but for the world to understand about Chinese people and their concern about the environment and now more affluence, what we're going to spend our money on, and how can we protect the environment but enhance the quality of life.
Yeah, China is special because there's the largest population. Also, the economy expanded phenomenally in the last 3 decades. So that's caused a problem for the environmental pollution and resource diminutions. So Chinese people, also government, feel the pressure, and so they started to develop its green consumption movement in 90s. Then, especially in the last decade, when the public caught attention through a few food safety incidents. So people are looking for better food and a better quality of life. So they are actively participated in these green consumptions. About half of people, kind of in favor of green products, and about a quarter of people are actually buy or purchased some of green products in different way. About 8 or 9% of people are constantly buying the green products. If you see the number, it's not high, but in terms of total population, the total figure of those people is very significant.
Yeah, that's incredible because, we listen to the percentage, 9 to 10% doesn't sound like much. But when you take 9 or 10% of 1.3 billion people, that's a large number of people that are involved as far as green products. Right. We have Diane of the Big Green Purse. I think she's coming in by telephone. Diane, are you with us?
I am.
There you are. Okay. Why is there such an emphasis now on green products in China?
Well, I think, as Dr. He said, there are so many consumers there, and all of us have an impact when we buy something, but just the growth of the consumer class is really on the rise in China. More and more people are moving into the middle class, and that means that many more people are going to be buying much more than they've ever bought before. So So, you know, all that consumption drives energy costs, drives the use of natural resources, can lead to an increase in toxic substances and so on. So focusing, as more and more people move into the consuming middle class, it's really important also to encourage them in both countries, not just China but the U.S., to buy wisely and to focus on the environmental attributes as well as the qualities for which they're buying the product.
Well, to follow up, Diane, to what you just had to say is for information to our audience, both here and abroad, is that the percentage of the true middle class in China's estimated somewhere around 350 million people. You know, just that class itself is more than the entire population of the United States at 318 million people, and we're the 5th largest population on the planet. So that gives you an idea of the scale of all this. Ms. Wang, coming all the way from Beijing, China, with her organization, it's called China's Green Earth Volunteers. How are NGOs and businesses actually working together to increase the awareness of the environment, but also the number of volunteers that are now becoming engaged in improving the environment for China?
Yeah, I'm really sad to say we are not very a lot of activities can company boss join us. It's it's the normal people, it's poor people join us. I really want to some of the company boss can join us. But you know, in China we have a lot of tradition. When we are interviewing in the Tibet plateau, you know, normally the farmer, they go to the water. First the spoon give the sky, second give the earth, then give the other animals, finally give themselves. So I'm thinking we have a lot of culture and the tradition. If we believe thank you the nature, thank you the God, give us life, give us the water, give us the food. So I'm thinking this is important. So we really needed to influence the company, not the company control the government. I think this is very important. I also thinking is when we care about river issues. A lot of people ask me, we needed electricity. I say, we are not only needed electricity, we are also needed good sky, good air, good water. So when I told this on our Genesis Shalom, on our River Watch, so we try to influence the people, save the energy. I'm thinking this is important. Maybe we are a lot of things. First of all, I thinking we needed a comfortable with ourselves. How can we needed a comfortable for the nature? This is a consumer needed thinking themselves, I think. This is China volunteers, China NGOs, where it's a lot of work to do for this area, I think.
Well, Dr. Wang, everything that you said over the last just about a minute and a half is very profound, and it's a message that resonates around the globe. And I think Dr. He has been working very diligently over many years now with you on these same themes and this honor of the air and the earth and the water is very, very important. How can China look to collaborate, Dr. He, with the United States and indeed other countries around the globe to try to enhance the protection of the environment, but actually try to start reversing some of the negative impacts of climate change?
Our main mission is to promote China's collaboration with the world, especially the U.S. I think there's many areas we can collaborate together. The first one is technology areas. There's many advanced technology we need fine-tuning developer and to be adapted in a place needed. The second one is public awareness. That one is important. Fundamentally, changes the production pattern. According to our recent survey, 90% of people of China think their consumer pattern, their behaving, will have a fundamental change to the industrial productions. So 90% of people are thinking that way.
That's an incredible number that the people are actually thinking about that concept. Yes.
So for the change of climate, we have the change fundamentally of production patterns, production model. So that's why we had a U.S.-China NGO forum on green consumption in the early spring here. It's trying to promote this common understanding and promote public participation, especially through women's organizations, women's groups.
I think that's very important to have women actually not only be participants, but also taking the leadership for this, because they are in many ways closer to nature just because of the children that they have in the households, and it's very, very important. And this is something that Diane McEachern that's working on with the Big Green Purse. And Diane, what are some of the obstacles about green businesses are facing both in the United States, China, and around the globe that possibly through your work, and we got to be quick, through your work can be ameliorated? And we have about 30 seconds. Running out of time.
Yes, what we can really do is just shift our spending to greener products and services, because we're not going to pass laws probably to get the world that we want in many times, but we can make big shifts happen based on how we spend our money.
Okay, thank you for being short, because I wanted to go out with Ms. Wang. She's up early from Beijing, China. Ms. Wang, we have to be quick, about 30 seconds. What do you see for the future of a greener environment, green consumption in China?
I think we needed to work with the United States NGOs together, influence the policy, influence the rich people. We're only one Earth. We need to be friendly with the nature. And we also want to ask the United States Chinese students, well, you come back to China. We needed you. Join us. Care about nature for the tomorrow.
Oh, that's a fantastic statement, and thank you for doing that, Ms. Wang. Thank you for being with us. And Diane, thank you for joining us, the Big Green Purse. Dr. He, thank you for being with us again.
Thank you.
And as you know, we're going to have you on many more times. And we enjoyed having you and talking about China. And thank you for being with us as we look around the globe in 144 different nations as we create the Emerald Planet.